Football season, it's around the corner. I'm talking about the NFL. It's almost here. What can we expect with the Rams house this season? What's to come this upcoming season? Can they catch up with the Niners and Seattle this year? Find out in the next edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. Welcome to Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not Sideline Sports Podcast. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Sideline Sports Podcast. I am the host, Alex Naveja. If you're not on the sideline, it's not a Sideline Sports Podcast. Trying to bring you guys the best content as far as SoCal sports is concerned. If you guys are liking the content we're throwing out on social media, please follow us on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter as well. We're always trying to throw the interviews right now with a lot of the high school football scene. We're trying to get the interviews for top athletes, top players of every game, and trying to bring you guys a little bit of the next wave of talent, if you will, the next generation of football talent at the moment. If you guys are liking episodes as well, please give it a thumbs up. Also, comment down below what episodes you guys would like to see. And also, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you guys know when we're uploading every week. But nonetheless, if you guys are a diehard Sideline Sports podcaster, you recognize the man to my left. He's an absolute professional and an absolute GOAT when it comes down to the LA football scene. He is all over it. And you know what? I'm going to just throw it out there. Future PGA Tour golfer. He's going to get a jacket one day, folks. He goes by the name of Will the Thrill Hernandez. I added the thrill, but he is a KTLA sports writer here in LA. What's going on, Will? Always a pleasure to have you on, man. What's going on?
What's up, Alex? Thank you for the intro. Unfortunately, the only jacket I'll be getting is a pleather jacket.
Come on.
But great to be here as always on the Sideline Sports Podcast. Yeah, great to be with you. Talk some Rams football. Football season college football is basically underway. NFL is essentially a week away with the Detroit Lions Chiefs. But great to be here as always and ready to go.
You know, before we even jumped on here, you said there's a lot you have to get off your chest. So, I mean, it's only right. But to get started on what's coming down with the Rams house, I mean, first off, let's just address the elephant in the room. We can certainly say that the Rams can get more than 5 wins this year with Stafford coming back, with Cooper Kupp coming back, and we can easily say Aaron Donald to not have the burden of dealing and battling with an injury. And I think the big three will be back this year. We could definitely see more than 5 wins.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. The over/under is 6.5 wins in Vegas. So, the Vegas wise guys are essentially right there with you in thinking that it is possible for them to get more than 5 wins this year. And yeah, they do have Stafford, Cooper Kupp coming back, Aaron Donald, but it's going to be an uphill battle. They've lost a lot of guys. It's going to be a couple new starters on the offensive line. Their roster is a lot of roster turnover, a lot. And, the Rams are basically they hit the reset button. You clearly during the offseason, we all saw in March when they traded away Jalen Ramsey. They let Leonard Floyd walk. They let Ashawn Robinson walk. They let a lot of guys go. And so, if you look at their spending last year they were number 1 in offensive spending. This year they're number 25, and on the defensive side of the ball they're number 32. Yeah, they have that big contract they gave Aaron Donald, but that's basically it. It's all rookies, second year, young players, really young players. And so it's going to be tough, and you add on top of that, they have a really tough schedule. I mean, you start off the season with the Seahawks in Seattle. Seattle's going to be a tough, that's going to be a tough team. They're my pick to win NFC West. I think the Niners come back to earth a little bit. Then they come back home against the Niners, their arch rival. And it only gets tougher after that. You have the Bengals, you have the Eagles in week 5, you have the Steelers in week 7 at home. I mean, let's face it, that's going to be, it's going to be, it's going to be a Steeler home game. Now let's just, get that out of the way. There's no question about it. And then, before their bye week, they have the Cowboys. So that's going to be a tough game. I think the Cowboys are going to be good this year. They have a good roster. McCarthy and Dak Prescott are on the hot seat, so they're going to be motivated. So yeah, Alex, it's going to be tough. It is possible. Yeah, they have Stafford, they have Cooper Kupp coming back. So if you're playing fantasy, I think Cooper Kupp's going to have another big year, assuming he stays healthy. But game past 6.5 wins, game to 7 wins, it's gonna be tough.
That's a tough stretch of teams, and I mean, I'm gonna agree with you too. It's gonna be like you're at Pittsburgh when the Steelers come to LA. You know how it is here in LA with Steeler fans. They're gonna show up and they're gonna show down for sure in that game, and they're gonna take it over. It's like when the Raiders come to LA. It's just it's not Rams house anymore. At that point, it's Steelers house or Raider house, and they just take over. But man, with that tough of a stretch, how important is it to kind of get started right away, week 1 at Seattle, and try to get the offense going, have the defense going to be able to withstand that long stretch of games before your first bye?
I think it's definitely going to be important. Especially that week 1 game, just to see that like how they come out. The Stafford and Cooper Kupp kind of, an offense has other weapons as well. You still have Tyler Higbee. Cam Akers should have a good year. He's basically going to be the lead guy. You have Van Jefferson coming back for, essentially his 3rd year. Puka Nacua, who the Rams drafted this year out of BYU. He looked good in the preseason. You started to see them pull him out towards the end of the preseason to try to keep him healthy. So yeah, I mean, it is important to at least see them be able to move the ball, be competitive in games, which I think they will be. The Seahawks are, the Seahawks have a really good roster, and it's interesting to see how they rebuilt it after trading Russ. So yeah, I mean, I think for the locker room, it's going to be important for them to at least see them, be competitive in games, move the ball. And who knows? They might go 2-0 in the first 2 weeks. You never know. But yeah, they're going to need that, especially like they don't want another long season as they did last year, obviously. So yeah, it's going to be important. But you have Matthew Stafford's wife, kind of leaking out, some of the locker room laundry, if you will. That's not a good start. Let's just say that. Like.
Yeah.
And I was I wasn't shocked, but like to hear that, come out like right before the season, yeah, it's not good. That's definitely not what you want to hear. And granted, it is like there is an age gap between Matthew Stafford and most of the players on the Rams team. But I guess, I mean, we don't know what's going on, but that's not a good thing to kind of overshadow the team going into the season. Though I guess it's kind of gone away in the last couple of days. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, they have a chance to prove people wrong and get fans motivated, get the locker room motivated. But who knows?
And that locker room chemistry is everything. Anything that is off or anything that's messed up or anything with it can have some long-term effects in the clubhouse and in the locker room. And you know how it is in sports. Like you want everything to be smooth and you want everything to be smooth flowing, because if something goes wrong, then that's what's going to bring in the problems. But I think if you still bringing in most of the receiving core, I like Tyler Higbee as that third down conversion go-to tight end. He's always been really good in the past. Unfortunately, injuries kind of hit him pretty hard, and I think I like some of the receivers that they still have too. I mean, Tutu Atwell, he got some pretty big receptions last year as well, and I know that was his first year in the NFL, so I want to see him have a pretty good second year, and still having Van Jefferson as like one of the veterans, if you will, for the Rams. That's still going to be a target for Matthew Stafford, and of course, Cooper the Goat Cup is still going to be there as well. But again, these last couple of years, I just feel like the Rams have struggled with the O line, which is why Matthew Stafford, first off, struggles in the pocket like any normal quarterback. Like, you're not Patrick Mahomes that can get pressured, scramble away, and still be able to throw a dime on the run. And Matthew Stafford's not that type of quarterback, but I want to put a lot of emphasis on the O-line this year because they need Matthew Stafford if they want to keep up with the big dogs.
Absolutely. No question about it. And you go back to the year they won the Super Bowl in 2021. You know, they really haven't recovered from losing Argo, Andrew Whitworth, number 77. You know, he was, you know, such a big he was essentially a leader. He was the leader. And losing that, you know, that adult in the room, that stability on the offensive line, the Rams really haven't recovered. They tried to, you know, switch around and put guys to replace him there, and it just hasn't worked out. Last year, you know, it really killed the Rams last year. They had so many injuries. Joseph Nopu went down pretty early. Their third round draft pick last year, who they just cut, Logan Bruss, you know, he went down in preseason. It was just it was just a mix of bad injuries and bad offensive line play. But you know, they do have some guys coming back. Rob Havenstein, you know, he's the right tackle. He should be good to go this year. Noteboom appears to be, you know, on all signs point towards him being back and good to go for week one. They drafted Steve Avila out of TCU in their second round. He was their first pick. So obviously the Rams, Les Snead, Kevin Demos, I think. The Rams clearly know that they need, if they're going to be competitive at all this year, their offensive line needs to be improved, and they got to give Matthew Stafford time, any quarterback time. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, the Rams are still trying. I mean, if you go check out Jordan Rodri, reporter for the Athletic, she's been all over this. You know, the Rams have been mixing and matching a lot on the offensive line. You can argue that kind of stink been them last year. So we'll see how it goes this year. But you know, it's going to be a lot of new guys, and you know, they're still not quite confident. You know, especially with Noteboom kind of working his way back from an injury. So we'll see. I mean, you know, the good thing is that the Rams do have talent on they have talent on offense. You know, Matthew Stafford is still Matthew Stafford. Just are they going to be able to keep him upright? Are they going to be able to give him time? I mean, you saw like with Jared Goff, like his final years, you know, when he struggled with the Rams, he just didn't have time. And when he did have time, he looked like, I mean, he looked like Joe Montana out there. And you see what he's doing with the Lions, you know, they have a pretty good offensive line. So yeah, and they have to keep Matthew Stafford healthy because there's not a lot left after that. Stetson Bennett, they drafted in the fourth round. Like, you look at him in the preseason, he didn't look that great. You know, he had a great career at Georgia. But like, I wouldn't feel great if he was thrown out there. Like, let's just, you know, like, it is what it is, you know. So yeah, that offensive line is going to be key, obviously, and you have, you know, the Niners and Seahawks who you face twice a year, both really good, you know, defensive lines. So we'll see. I mean, you know, hopefully these guys stay healthy. You know, we gotta hope for the best.
Absolutely. I mean, the division's going to be tough. It's going to be hot. It's going to be a tough schedule for the Rams all season long. Like we talked about it before, it comes down to the O-line. And you're bringing up a pretty big point that I want to talk a little bit about Stetson Bennett. I mean, is he really the next guy right after Stafford? I mean, I get it. It takes a little time to be able to transition from the college football scene to the NFL. I mean, you're no Bryce Young. You're none like these no guys that are coming in right now. Is he really the next guy? I mean, is he? Do you think
He
so?
is right now. I mean, he is. I mean, they cut John Wolford. They cut Brett Ripien, who they brought in. Um, yeah. So unfortunately, I mean, I believe they put Brett Ripien on the practice squad. But yeah, right now it's Matthew Stafford and it's Stetson Bennett, two Georgia guys. One guy has Super Bowl, one guy has two national championships. you know, yeah, I mean, he's looked okay. Like he looked okay in the first preseason game, but then you saw what happened last week against the Broncos. And you could maybe obviously the Broncos look like they're motivated to play. They got Sean Payton in his first year, so he wants to have some momentum before the season starts. But yeah, Stetson Bennett, I don't know. That's basically the Rams' backup plan at the moment. I would have liked to see him go after like Will Greer, who the Cowboys cut after he traded for Trey Lance. He looked pretty good. He looked like a breath of fresh air who the Rams could use in case Stafford gets hurt again. Um, but yeah, they cut John Wolford. He's gone. He signed with the Bucks yesterday. I believe the Bucks practice squad. So the Rams. I mean, again, the Rams are trying to reset. I don't think they're totally taking for Caleb Williams because I think the Cardinals are more than likely going to get Caleb Williams. I mean, the Cardinals are going to be bad this year. And it just so happens that out of the 7 games or 8 home games the Rams have, they're only favorite in one game, and that's against the Cardinals. They're 4.5-point favorites. The Cardinals are going to be bad this year. And I mean, you could make the argument that the Rams are going to be bad this year. And the Rams clearly saw that. And they're trying to, they're just trying to shed. They obviously coming into this year, in off season, they shed as much salary as they could. And they're just trying to rebuild again for the future. And that's what happens when you go all in like they did in 2021. Les Snead, F them picks. It was great. I mean, if you're a Ram fan, you can't be mad. It's just a reality. The reality is starting to settle in. And, so the Rams are relying heavily on obviously Matthew Stafford to stay healthy. And yeah, Stetson Bennett, he's the guy. He's the guy, Alex. Don't you have trust in? Don't you have faith in him?
It's not that I don't have faith in him. It's just sometimes, when you're transitioning from college football to the NFL, that transition sometimes doesn't go very smoothly. I mean, I want to have a ton of trust. I want him to play just as well as he did in college football. But when you come to the NFL, those national championships, they just don't matter. And I just feel like you need time for development. You need time to get to know the playbook. I mean, Baker Mayfield, he had a plane ride to get to know the playbook, and he beat the Raiders in the final drive last year. But I just feel like when it comes to a player like that, like I feel like you have a lot of pressure on you, especially here in LA. You know how the Angelinos are. They put a lot of pressure on their teams and they expect to win and everything because it's LA. Like they got to win everything. Lakers, they're in the winning ways. The Kings, they're going to be a much better team this year. The Dodgers, you're seeing what they're doing right now with the team that they have right now with shedding so much payroll. So you come to LA, you're drafted by the Los Angeles Rams, but now you got a spotlight that, hey, we're expecting you to show up. If Stafford gets injured, I'm knocking on my table right now. But just be ready if something happens. Unfortunately, Stafford has shown a history of injuries throughout his career. So it's not that I don't have confidence of him. I don't know if we can throw him in there in an in-season game just yet. But I want to bring up a point that you brought up too. And I think a lot of Rams fans we're living a little bit of a fantasy right now. We know Caleb Williams is going to be a first overall pick. If not first, maybe second. Any chance the Rams can maybe go after him? I don't know. Maybe. How about it?
It's possible. I mean, like if I'm a Ram fan, I'm saying tank for Caleb, tank for Caleb. But it's gonna be tough because you have a lot of. I think the Rams will be competitive. I mean, they're trying to be competitive, but
They always
obviously
do.
their roster is going to limit them. Like it's just it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, I mean, Caleb Williams. The rumors have already started. Caleb Williams gets drafted by the Rams, and the Rams fire Sean McVay, which will not happen, and hire Lincoln Riley. That's the yeah. I don't think that's going to
Ah,
happen. I think the Rams have a lot of faith in Sean McVay. Last year didn't go well though, and so I think Sean clearly saw that, and he saw like how his um I mean he last year was definitely a case review like of what not to do, and so I think he's coming in with definitely a fresh breath of air, and looking to improve because it's going to be tough for him, being a competitive guy, fiery guy, you know he's always trying to compete with Kyle Shanahan. Um, it's going to be tough for him because more than likely the Rams are going to be bad. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible, Alex. But you look at the Arizona Cardinals win total; it's only 4.5. I mean, if you bet them to go winless, that's a good bet. I think it's like 20-1. They might go winless. They're bad this year. They are very, very bad, and they're reaping like their repercussions of giving Kyler Murray a massive contract before his rookie contract expired by the former GM. They come in, they clean house. They have a new coach, they have a new GM. The owner's still there, but they're kind of in a similar position as the Rams. They're just trying to rebuild and reset for the future. So it's possible. I hope it happens. Because I love watching Caleb Williams play at USC, but obviously the NFL is different. The NFL, you're playing with grown ass men, and that's why you see guys like Stetson Bennett, who had a great college career at Georgia with some great players. Nothing but first round draft picks, blue chips, and you put them, even though it's preseason, you put them around grown ass men, and it's definitely tougher. Like you look at the game against the Raiders, like you know, there he had some bright moments, but then he had some really bad moments. And so uh who knows? I mean, if the Rams, it's possible, Alex. I hope it happens. But I don't think the Rams will be that bad, in my honest opinion. But it's possible. Maybe they trade up. But I mean, and Matthew Stafford's contract is, it's not gonna last forever. Um, but I think, you know, I don't think the Rams are necessarily that rebuilding. I think they're just trying to they're trying to get through this year, be competitive, but I don't think it's in McVay's DNA to like just tank. So we'll see. It would be nice if it happens, but I mean, we'll see. More than likely, if I had a bet, Cardinals are probably going to get Caleb Williams.
well, I mean, a guy can dream, a guy can hope that something like that can happen. But you're absolutely right. The Rams have never been a franchise that said, "Hey guys, you know what? It's week 10. We're gonna throw in the white flag and we're gonna wave the white flag, throw in the towel, and yeah, we're gonna try to trade all of our assets just to be able to go for a first round, get a first round pick." And that's even the question too, like who's worth a first round pick, and you really have to dig deep and see who is that? Maybe it's an Aaron Donald. And do you want to let a guy like that go? Do you want to let Stafford go and put the pressure on Stetson Bennett on any of those things? But you know what? It's going to be one of those things that we have to wait and see how the season plays out. And if it starts to play negatively, I don't know. Maybe they have to open things up and say, hey, listen, doesn't look like we're going to even keep up with Seattle or San Francisco this year. Maybe we do want to trade some guys to be able to get some first round picks and see if we can be in the front runner for Caleb Williams this year. But again, we're gonna have to wait and see what is in store for this season. But that's all the time we have left here on Sideline Sports Podcast. We thank you all so much for tuning into this one. If you guys really like this episode, please give it a thumbs up. Comment down below what you guys want to see the Rams do. Do you think maybe should they tank this year to maybe get a first round pick? They haven't had one in quite some time, says Jared Goff. Or do you guys still want to say, hey, all in, baby. We want to keep up with the dogs, with Seattle and with San Francisco, and see what we can make of it and go full on win mode. Want to hear you guys' thoughts on that. And also hit the subscribe button down below so you guys know when we're uploading, and also the notification bell so you guys know when an episode is uploaded. But nonetheless, on my left-hand side, he works for KTLA. He is a sports writer for KTLA, and Will the Thrill Hernandez. Hey, Will, thanks so much for jumping on, man. I really appreciate it, and we'll certainly have you on again once football season's underway, and we'll see what's up.
Sounds good, Alex. Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me, sir.
Absolutely. But I am Alex Naveja from Sideline Sports Podcast. If you're not on the sideline, it's not a Sideline Sports Podcast. Have a good one, everybody, and enjoy all of the football going on in high school, college, and soon to be NFL. Hasta luego, everybody.